Chapter 791. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's journey was very smooth. No one suddenly jumped out to ambush them. Many officials from Yaozhou had come. The two of them were anxious to see the little ones and did not meet them. They only sent someone to deliver a letter to He Yiwei, encouraging him. When the two of them arrived at Yaowang Mountain and saw Empress Wang, the two little ones were already sleeping next to each other. Just like watching rare animals, Xiao Bei and the others looked at the little ones one by one. Their mouths were still moving while they were sleeping. So small. Xiao Bei measured the two little ones' height with his hand. "You're not big either." Xiao Yuan added. "I'm still bigger than them. In the future they'll be under my protection. No one is allowed to bully them." Xiao Bei reached out and touched the little girl's mouth. The little one, whose mouth was still moving, turned her head towards Xiao Bei's finger, wanting to suck on it. Empress Wang had people bring over a lot of food. She glanced at the two children and asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in a low voice, "When are you leaving? Why don't you stay at Yaowang Mountain for a few more days?" "We'll leave after 2 days. We'll go to the capital with your majesty and take charge of the Tang Bank. Trouble is coming." Zhang Xiaobao knew that Empress Wang was reluctant to part with her children, but she had no choice. Empress Wang looked at her children again. After thinking for a while, she asked, "Is it Wu Huifei who's causing trouble for you? Blue Sea Silver Sand has stolen a lot of business from between the clouds and the water. She asked for it. Your Majesty doesn't need to worry about Blue Sea Silver Sand. This summer, a new chain restaurant will appear. It will form a tripartite balance of power with Blue Sea Silver Sand and between the clouds and the water. They will compete and develop with each other. The trouble is with the bank. Someone is depositing a lot of money in the capital. Presumably, they want to go to the most remote Tang Bank to withdraw it." Zhang Xiaobao was telling Empress Wang some things. Empress Wang was not stupid. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's confident words, she immediately understood. She looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in confusion and asked, "Why did you find yourself an opponent? The first is for balance, and the second is for progress. If one party is strong, they will lose the motivation to develop if they lack a sense of crisis. They are born in worries and die in peace and happiness. It's just that they are prepared for danger in times of peace. It's the same for business and politics. It's the same for one party and the other. Nothing in the world goes beyond that." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he dipped his hand into the tea and drew a Tai Chi diagram on the table. He said, "Yin and Yang blending with each other and moving with the momentum. Yang turns into Yin and Yin follows Yang. Just like a bicycle, it's the most stable when moving." Empress Wang nodded. Although she couldn't understand the deeper meaning, she knew the general idea. She seemed to be talking to herself. "Speaking of which, the harem should also be moved. Can the bank handle it? It's my fault for causing trouble for you too. If it weren't for this, why would Wu Huifei target you too?" Wang Wan smiled and said, "Your Majesty, you don't have to think like that. Xiao Bao and I have been waiting for her to make a move. It's better for her to make a move than others. Sooner or later, there will be people who will cause trouble for the bank. It's better to do it in the open. After this, the bank can be stable for a long time." Really? Even though Empress Wang already thought that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could handle it, she still asked with uncertainty, "Course, do they have names?" Wang Wan replied with certainty. She turned her head to look at the two little guys sleeping there. Speaking of the children, Empress Wang's face showed a motherly smile. "Yes, one is called Li Jun, and the other is called Pan. After this farewell, I don't know when I can see them again. Wait until Xiao Bao and I deal with the trivial matters in Jili province. In the future, we will be able to see each other at least twice a year. Nyang Nyang, don't worry. Juner and Pan will not suffer any grievances at our place. At that time, I will find a wet nurse for them. The next time Nyang Nyang sees them, you will see 2 white and chubby little guys." Wang Wan knew that it was too cruel for any mother to let the children leave her side, but what could she do? Did she dare to leave the 2 little guys in the palace? The only thing she could do was to try her best to guarantee. Fine, I will return to the capital with you the day after tomorrow. His Majesty has already sent someone to ask when we will return. It's on the way. The commander-in-chief of Song Mo's manor is very ambitious. You have opposed him time and time again. Be careful that he will do something bad to you. I know. He actually wants autonomy. It would be best if he becomes a vassal state of the Tang Empire. Then, he will gradually become independent. If he doesn't send troops, Xiao Bao will slowly deal with him. At that time, even if he wants to send troops, he will have no troops to send. If he is in a hurry to send troops, it will be even better. If he thinks that others can't do anything to him because of the advantage of the terrain, I will let him know what special jungle warfare is. If it really doesn't work, I will burn the mountains on his side. Wang Wan had never thought much of the Khitans. The main reason was that the Khitans were now divided into various tribes. The total population was not large. If they really fought, it would be enough to divide them. When the time came, they would send the Khitans to Suzhou or Baoxing County. What kind of trouble could they cause? Empress Wang also knew a lot about war. Seeing Wang Wan's indifferent appearance, she reminded her with concern. Cuckoo, be careful not to push him too far. He will take his tribesmen to the Turks. It is not good for our dynasty to send an army to attack the Turks. If he really dares to go to the Turks, it will be even better. I will fight the Turks as well. I am worried that I won't have a place to use my new weapon. How big is it? It will be good to know its weaknesses and strengths. It will increase the speed of research. As Wang Wan was speaking, Panna was woken up by Xiao Bei's kiss. She was sleeping comfortably. When she opened her eyes and saw that she didn't recognize anyone and that there was no one she could rely on, she opened her mouth and cried. Xiao Bei embarrassedly stuck out his tongue, crying, "This child! Come, give her to me." Empress Wang smiled as she picked up her daughter. She shook her, coaxed her, and quickly fell asleep again. 2 days later, everyone set out. Empress Wang's group was not small. The people in charge of protection rode along the banks and following the flow of the river toward the capital. The people who had been waiting for a long time at the foot of Yaowang Mountain finally let out a sigh of relief. Yaowang Mountain was open. Everyone rushed over like a tide. Before Zhang Xiaobao's group reached the capital, there were fast horses coming from downstream. They found Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were with Empress Wang, and reported, "Young master, young lady, there is news from Suzhou. There is a run on the Great Tang Private Bank. The private bank is currently mobilizing cash. Between the clouds and the water and sea and clouds have already prepared to take action." Got it. They actually ran to Suzhou. I thought they would go somewhere else. Hurry up and tell the Suzhou Money House to release the news of free deposits. There will be no processing fees for people depositing and exchanging money. Chapter 792. In the Suzhou government, Wu Feng, who was riding a fast horse at a speed of nearly 800 li, was not in the mood to swim in Lake Tai, let alone have the time to taste the prawn rake. With a pile of documents on him, he impatiently went to the Great Tang Bank in the Suzhou government. He took out the 1.5 million strings of coins and let the people of the bank verify it. According to the rules, those who asked for more than 50,000 strings of coins would have to wait 3 days before they could pay. He then found an inn not far from the bank and stayed there. When he found the innkeeper, he didn't say anything. He used a copper coin to arrange a pattern of the Big Dipper on the table. After the innkeeper personally poured half a cup of tea for him, he asked, "Do you have autumn crabs?" "Sir, you came at the right time. During the spring plowing, the autumn crabs are fat. Sir, how many would you like to eat?" The innkeeper replied, "Give me half to try first." Wu Feng followed. "Sir, please wait a moment. I'll be right there," the innkeeper said as he filled the cup and bowed to leave. Not long after, the door opened and a middle-aged man wearing a silk headscarf came in. He looked back and carefully closed the door. He moved closer to Wu Feng and said, "Third steward, you've come. Are there any orders from above? Yes, it's time to act. How much money do you have here? Wu Feng originally did not want to use the power here. But after he showed the documents and had them verified by the people of the Great Tang Bank, the other party did not show any signs of difficulty. He had no choice but to prepare another hand. As for the title of third steward, he had just gotten it last year. The main reason was because he contacted the merchants of the Jiangnan East Road to open the Blue Sea Silver Sand. The middle-aged man poured himself a cup of tea and raised it to reply. Third steward, we only pulled in 400,000 strings of coins and promised many benefits to others. How much money can be used in the capital? 400,000 strings of coins. Yes, that's about right. After 3 days, withdraw a small amount. The capital borrowed 1.5 million strings of coins, and the storage fee was paid by the Wu family. Starting tomorrow, send people here to spread the news that the Great Tang Bank has no more money. If the money deposited is not withdrawn, then not a single coin can be taken back. After this matter is settled, you can return to the capital this year. Wu Feng did a rough calculation and was afraid that the Great Tang Bank still had the ability to pay 1.9 million strings of coins, so he suggested this method. Don't worry, third steward. I will definitely muddy the waters. Hearing that there was a possibility of returning to the capital, the middle-aged man was very excited. The capital was good. People who could stay in the capital were not willing to go elsewhere. The next day, the originally calm Suzhou became restless. The people in the spring plowing did not consider the news circulating in the city. They did not have enough money to deposit in the money house for people to collect storage fees. But those who had businesses were different. They were always afraid of losing money if they kept it at home. Since the appearance of the Great Tang Bank, they found that the storage fee they paid each year was not much. It was basically the same as what they used to store the silk at home. In this way, these people could deposit their money in the Great Tang Bank and not worry about it being stolen. Now that he heard someone say that the Great Tang Bank had run out of money, at first he didn't believe it, but then he decided that he would rather believe it than not. He was prepared to withdraw the money first. After this storm passed and he found that the money was fine, it wouldn't be too late to deposit it. The steward of the Great Tang Bank in the Suzhou government saw the line of people coming to withdraw money and immediately became anxious. What should we do? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have fought to participate in that training, and I wouldn't have spent so much effort to become a steward. The steward understood that this was the bank run that the teacher had mentioned during the training. After collecting deposits and lending money, the most frightening thing was for the depositors to come to the line to withdraw money because they did not trust them. One of his assistants was also anxious and suggested, "Steward Li, why don't we tell the people withdrawing money that they can't withdraw money this month and have them wait a month? At that time, the money from other places will be able to come." Steward Li glared at the assistant. Then other places will immediately get the news and more people will go to withdraw money. What will the Great Tang Bank do? Hasn't the news already been sent out to the steward? The steward will have a way. Give it to the people withdrawing money. Send people to transport the money and let them see if the Great Tang Bank still has money. The assistant nodded helplessly and ran to arrange for people to withdraw money from the warehouse. Then, he looked at how much the person withdrew and divided the silk and copper coins according to 40 to 60. He knew that the steward was the young master of the Zhang family. He hoped that this time, the young master of the Zhang family could still be as magical as before and do things well. Because of the silk and copper coins, it was troublesome to withdraw money. Whether the people who withdrew money in small amounts or directly withdrew money in small amounts, the bank would not compensate them. Some people did deposit money in small amounts and withdraw money in small amounts. When they withdrew money, it would be 150 copper coins. When they withdrew money, it would be 150 copper coins. In this way, a bolt of silk would be worth 200 copper coins. They could not break the silk, so they could only pay with copper coins. In this way, the silk would be left in the bank. It was not easy to preserve silk. As long as it was in the hands, it would depreciate. Fortunately, the copper coins themselves were not worth the monetary value they represented. Therefore, there were people who privately minted coins. The copper coins transported from Shinlua, Japan, and Shinyuan Island were all made into copper coins to offset the depreciation of the silk. Soon, cart after cart of copper coins were pushed to the front of the shop. Manager Li wanted to shout to the people in line to withdraw money. "You don't have to worry about the Great Tang Bank not being able to take out the money." However, he was worried that someone would use such words to say that the bank was stubbornly holding on, so he could only use practical actions to give people a hint. As usual, the money was taken away by people. Carriages after carriages of money were brought over. Even if Manager Li was anxious, he didn't show it. He always wore a smile on his face as he sent away the people who came to take the money one after another. From morning until noon, the people of the bank gave the money very quickly and did not have the slightest intention of stalling. This made the people who were still in line to withdraw money unconsciously change their minds. At this time, the people arranged by Manager Li spread the news in the crowd. "Let's not withdraw money. Someone must be spreading rumors that the Great Tang Bank has no money. Look, if there is no money, how can they keep pulling money out? If there is no money, how can they not be anxious? It's noon, time to go back and eat. I'll look again and pull money out again. I won't withdraw money either. It's all my wife's fault. She forced me to come here. She didn't think about who opened the Great Tang Bank. That is the current emperor. How can the emperor not have money? AI. You've wasted my time." That's right. Even if we can't withdraw money now, it's not that the Great Tang Bank doesn't have money. It's just that they lent the money to others to collect more interest and can't move it away. If the Great Tang Bank was only in Suzhou, then we should withdraw money. But how many banks does Great Tang have now? I won't withdraw money either. All kinds of voices like this sounded in the crowd, causing the people who were still waiting to withdraw money to be moved. They hesitated, not knowing if they should continue withdrawing money. After noon, the people withdrawing money suddenly decreased by a lot. When it was almost night time, the withdrawal rate had basically returned to normal. Manager Li and the people of the bank heaved a sigh of relief, but Wu Feng was worried again. The plan was about to succeed, but in the end, the people arranged by the bank said that the bank run was gone. How could this work? That night, he called the middle-aged man over, and the two of them discussed while eating. "Third steward, according to your thoughts, can the Great Tang Bank in Suzhou still pay 1.9 million string of cash? It's not a small amount. If it's not too much, then we should wait to prevent people from finding out." The middle-aged man was a bit worried. If he continued to send people to spread the news about the Great Tang Bank, once someone found out, it wouldn't just be his side that would be in trouble. If the emperor knew that it was Wu Huifei who did it, no matter how much he doted on her, he would vent his anger on her. How could Wu Feng not understand this point? If it was someone else supporting the bank, he wouldn't care. 1.9 million strings of cash. There weren't many places that could take it out at once, especially Suzhou. The people here had borrowed a lot, so the bank shouldn't have much money left. But today's opponent was Zhang Xiaobao. Who dared to underestimate him? Those who underestimated him didn't have a good ending. Even if they didn't underestimate him, those who went against him also didn't have a good ending. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't come over, he wouldn't have chosen Suzhou. Otherwise, if he was in Suzhou, he wouldn't have dared to come here. Some people's existence was a legend. Thinking like this, Wu Feng said to the middle-aged man, "This is the last time. Find someone reliable to do it. Don't give yourself away. If they really find out that you're here, we'll take good care of your family." The middle-aged man's expression changed. He nodded and said, "Understood. If they find me, then everything will be cut off. I'll immediately go back and arrange it." The next day, Suzhou, which was about to return to peace, had a new wave. It was rumored that the emperor wanted to use troops against Tufan and Tujue at the same time. Even after taking out all the money in the national treasury, it still wasn't enough. He forcefully transferred money from various banks. The banks were already empty. If they didn't withdraw money now, once the emperor lost, there wouldn't be any money left. When one person said this, others didn't care. More and more people said it. It made those who didn't believe it couldn't help but doubt whether or not it was true. At this time, the Suzhou government began to send bailiffs to arrest people. How terrible! Letting people casually spread rumors. Not only would the emperor be angry, but what would Tufan and Tujua think if they acted too late? Once they were arrested, it became even more chaotic. Some people began to suspect that this was an attempt to seal the mouth. They increasingly felt that the emperor wanted to send troops. Furthermore, the national treasury had no money and was transferring money from the banks. A new line appeared in front of the banks, waiting to withdraw money. Just as shopkeeper Li was feeling anxious, the urgent letter that Zhang Xiaobao had sent someone to deliver finally arrived. Looking at the contents of the letter, shopkeeper Li's heart finally settled down. He immediately had someone post a notice outside according to what was written in the letter. Is there no money? An illiterate commoner saw the notice and anxiously asked around. A literate person went over to take a look and said to the people around him, "Good news, great news." The emperor said that the national treasury is now full and the 4 seas are at peace. Therefore, the great Tang Bank will remove the service fee for people who have previously deposited money after 1 month. The new people who deposit money will only have half of the original amount. When summer comes, the great Tang Bank will completely remove the service fee. Also, starting from today, the interest on loans will also be reduced. The conditions for loans will also be slightly relaxed. In the future, more people will be able to borrow money. Good news, great news. Hearing the literate person's words, the people who wanted to withdraw money were confused. Who was the one who said it? If the bank was deliberately deceiving people, then the bank should not have relaxed the conditions for loans and reduced the interest when the bank ran out of money. Could it be that the bank really did not lack money? Someone in the crowd began to speak. Don't withdraw money. If you withdraw money and deposit it again, although it will be half of the previous service fee, it will not be as good as when there was no service fee in the beginning. Don't withdraw money. The emperor will not deceive us. I also won't withdraw money. Who knows, there might be something good waiting for us. It must be that the person who started the rumor knew in advance that the emperor was going to do this, so they came to take advantage of it. That's right, the person who started the rumor should be caught and beheaded. It's really too deceptive. I already withdrew 30 strings of cash yesterday. I've lost money, lost a lot. The crowd dispersed again. This time, no one continued to spread the rumor. Many of the people who started the rumor were arrested. They all said that they heard it from other people in the inns and restaurants. At the moment, it was really hard to find who started it. They could only be locked up for a few days and released when the time came. Third steward, is there such news from the capital? Did the emperor really say that? The middle-aged man found Wu Feng with lingering fear. What does it have to do with the emperor? The person who is really in charge of the Tang Bank is Zhang Xiaobao. Whatever he says is what it is. What a fast speed. I just made my move and he already knew. I wonder if he can still take out the remaining 9 million strings of cash. Wu Feng did not have any confidence in his heart. Didn't Zhang Xiaobao go to Huayuan County to pick up the child? How could he still manage Suzhou? Third day came. The middle-aged man first had someone withdraw the 400,000 strings of cash he had saved, promising that person many benefits. After all, this interest had to be taken by himself. Otherwise, the other person did not need to pay the service fee. If he still wanted them to pay more, they would not do it. Following that, Wu Feng also found the Tang Bank and wanted to take his 5 million strings of cash. Seeing Steward Li, the other party's one sentence scared Wu Feng silly. Third steward, the money you asked for has been prepared. Come with me to get it. Steward Li said politely. Just this one sentence made Wu Feng feel cold from head to toe. He knows, he really knows. It was not a fake name that I gave, nor did he say my real name. Instead, he called me the Wu family in the capital. What should I do? What should I do? Will the Empress's side be? Wu Feng's vision turned black and his ears rang. Even when Steward Li touched him, he did not feel anything. He only felt that his whole body was numb and did not have an ounce of strength. His stomach felt like he had drunk a lot of wine and wanted to vomit but could not. With a puff, Steward Li sprayed a mouthful of strong wine on Wu Feng's face. Only then did Wu Feng wake up. Third steward, please come with me. The bank does not have one. 5 million strings of cash. We need to get it from other places. Steward Li said again. Wu Feng was so scared that his soul almost left his body. When he heard that the bank could not take out so much money, he did not feel the slightest bit of joy. He thought for a while and said, if you don't have that, then don't take it. How can that be? If you don't take it out, then the bank will not receive the management fee. Furthermore, the third steward has already made an appointment in advance. Please, the young master of the Zhang family has been very busy for this matter. He took the money between the clouds and the water and sea and clouds, and even transported a few 100,000 strings of cash from nearby places. After negotiating with the local investors, we finally managed to gather 5 million strings of cash for the third steward. Oh, it's 9 million strings of cash. Steward Li reached out to support Wu Feng. Just like that, Wu Feng was sent to the bank between the clouds and the water by Steward Li. Looking at the mountain of money, Wu Feng knew that it was impossible for him to transport it away. The transportation fee was more than 10 times higher than the management fee. He could only deposit it in the bank again. After entering and exiting, the management fee was not small. More importantly, he was exposed. He wondered how the Empress was doing in the palace. In the capital, Li Longji already knew about it. In his anger, he did not visit Wu Huifei for 3 days. Of course, he also did not teach her a lesson. Today he went to Empress Wang's place to drink alone. Empress Wang was making clothes for her son and daughter. Although Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not lack clothes, for a mother, it was better to make clothes herself than others. Seeing that the emperor had arrived, she arranged for people to prepare food and wine while coming to serve him. Seeing that the emperor's complexion was not good, she asked with concern, Your Majesty, is there something troubling you in the imperial court? What can happen in the imperial court? Now that the national treasury is full, it's the bank that's in trouble. Li Longji had only seen his newborn son and daughter once. Now that he came to Empress Wang's place, he thought of how the two of them smiled when they saw him. His mood improved a lot. Your Majesty, could it be that Xiaobao got into trouble? Empress Wang already knew what was going on. If it was in the past, she would have directly said it. Now she was smarter. Li Longji waved his hand. What trouble could Xiaobao get into? With him there, the bank has nothing to worry about. It's consort Huifei. She actually made a move behind the scenes. She had people deposit a large sum of money in the capital and then ran to the farthest bank in Suzhou to get it. This is called running on the bank. Your Majesty, perhaps consort Huifei's younger sister has a proper use. If she really wanted to go to the farthest place, wouldn't it be better to go to Jianan Circuit? Empress Wang explained. What use does she have? She didn't go to Jianan Circuit because of the reputation that Xiaobao and Cuckoo made there, as well as the business of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Moreover, the road there is difficult. Otherwise, she really would have gone to Jianan Circuit. Li Longji's heart was like a mirror. How could he not know the reason why consort Huifei made a move on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan? At this time, the palace maids had already placed the wine and dishes on the table. Empress Wang poured wine for the emperor and said, Your Majesty doesn't need to worry. With Xiaobao there, nothing will happen to the bank. Naturally, Xiaobao wrote a letter to Li Shi a few days ago, saying that the increase of the capital's deposit was abnormal. He made arrangements early on. What if it was someone else? What would happen? Would anyone have Xiaobao's ability? When Li Longji thought of the letter that Gao Li Shi had received, he couldn't help but admire the experts of the Zhang family. Xiaobao, who had been taught by them, was actually able to see the signs of the increase of the capital's deposit. This ability was extraordinary. Empress Wang picked up a piece of cucumber for the emperor and drank a small cup with him. She continued to persuade, "Your Majesty, Consort Huifei's actions are also good." Good in what way? Li Longji had thought that Empress Wang would add fuel to the fire. He didn't expect that she would actually speak up for Consort Huifei. "Your Majesty should think this way." This time, Consort Huifei was testing the Tang Bank. Xiao Bao handled it well. Even if she really couldn't control it at that time, Consort Huifei will deposit the money back into the bank. She won't ruin Your Majesty's plans. This concubine can guarantee. With this, Your Majesty's heart will be at ease. Xiao Bao has done a good job in handling the malicious deposit and withdrawal of funds from other places. It's better than other people or countries with bad intentions. It's also good for the people participating in the training to have an intuitive impression. According to this concubine's words, Consort Huifei's actions are like an adult deliberately making things difficult for children in order to train them. Your Majesty also made things difficult for Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. The two children said that when they wanted to go to Jili province, they had to go around in circles. If Pan-er and the others weren't with Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, this concubine also wanted to make things difficult for them. Empress Wang tried her best to excuse Consort Huifei. It wasn't that she didn't want to beat Consort Huifei to death with a stick. It was just that this kind of thing couldn't be beaten to death. Rather than that, it was better to curry favor and let the emperor see her magnanimity as the leader of the harem. Li Longji actually just wanted to find a way out for himself. When he heard Empress Wang's words, he felt happy in his heart and deliberately put on a straight face. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have lied to us time and time again. Those officials who didn't know the reason thought that we couldn't compare to the two children. Now you know it's because the two children aren't ordinary. When Arjun and Pan are older, they can also learn good skills. Your Majesty, this concubine still has something to say. Although Consort Huifei tested Xiao Bao once, she still has to be punished in the harem. This concubine has decided to punish Consort Huifei with half a year's monthly allowance. What does Your Majesty think? Empress Wang continued. Punishment, punishment. Come drink with us. Let's sleep here tonight. When Li Longji heard that it was only half a year's allowance, he happily agreed. Chapter 793. In these few days, Wu Huifei did not have an easy time. The emperor had been staying with Empress Wang. Although Empress Wang had just returned from Huayuan, it was not to the extent that she would not come to see her. It was not until Wu Feng deposited the money again and ran back to the capital like an emergency report that Wu Huifei knew the situation was troublesome. She waited anxiously for the emperor's punishment. In the end, all she got was a punishment of half a year's salary. The reason was that she had taken something from the palace to be sold. This was natural. To raise money to deal with Zhang Xiaobao, the Wu family had to contribute money and strength. Just the service fees for other people were not small. There was also the intelligence personnel running back and forth, as well as the various gatherings held to win people over. It was all money. Temporarily relieved, Wu Huifei looked at the flowers blooming as the warm wind blew. She asked the serving girl beside her, "Is there any news from home?" "Your Highness, Wu Feng fell ill as soon as he came back. The doctor has seen him and said he was frightened. He will be fine after a few days of rest." Wu Feng said he thought of a good idea to make the Tang Bank compensate, especially after waiving all service fees. However, he did not dare to do it again for fear of losing his head. The serving girl replied and put a small foot warmer by Wu Huifei's feet. The foot warmer was marked with the authentic symbol of Hai Yunjian. Wu Huifei had long been used to using things from the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang families. Even if she hated them to death, she would not go against them in terms of enjoyment. Hearing the serving girl's reply, she nodded and said, "He was frightened. He must have been frightened in Suzhou. Let him tell us the plan. This time there is no need for him to do it." If it were Wu Yu, I don't believe that Zhang Xiaobao, who is busy with the matter of accumulating benefits while also being busy with business and taking care of Empress Wang's two evil children, can still find time to deal with one attack after another. The serving girl turned and left. Another serving girl took her place and stood by Wu Huifei's side to serve. The news quickly spread to the outer house. After Wu Feng, who was lying on the sickbed, heard it, he sighed helplessly and called Wu Yu over to warn her. This time we have to be extremely careful. If we use copper coins to exchange for silk, we can suppress the price of the silk. Then we deposit the silk in the bank and withdraw it from the bank. Then the bank will have more silk and less copper coins. Then we will use copper coins to exchange for silk. After a few rounds, we will have more money and the bank will have more silk. Wu Yu nodded. No. It's just using money to bargain for the silk. You deposit the silk in the bank and then withdraw the money. You can earn money every time. Can do it. When Wu Feng saw Wu Yu's nonchalant expression, he became even more anxious and said, "It's easy to do, but difficult to hide. What's so difficult about it? I won't be in a hurry to withdraw the money. I'll prepare more money to exchange for silk. When the time comes, I'll withdraw the money bit by bit. It will take 3 months. After accumulating a few times, I'll withdraw it all at once." Wu Yu felt that she finally had a chance to go out and do something. She was very excited. It could be said that a newborn calf was not afraid of a tiger. Wu Feng regretted telling her the plan. He gestured for Wu Yu to sit on the bed and said weakly, "Don't underestimate Zhang Xiaobao. Those who underestimate him are all dealt with by him. Don't tell me you didn't see anything from this confrontation." "See what?" "Zhang Xiaobao discovered our actions, but we still won. The imperial concubine didn't suffer any losses, but Zhang Xiaobao caused the bank to lose a portion of its income. The first person to deposit money will not be charged, and after a while, the rest of the people who deposit money will not be charged either. No matter how powerful Zhang Xiaobao is, won't he still be at a disadvantage?" Wu Yu carefully analyzed the situation and thought that she had taken advantage of Zhang Xiaobao. Thinking that she was about to use the silk to exchange for money, she said, "When I get a certain amount, I'll tell others about this method. Let's see how Zhang Xiaobao will deal with it." Wu Feng felt that he had lost even more strength. He looked at Wu Yu resentfully and forced himself to sit up. He felt a buzzing in his head and almost fainted. He leaned against the wall beside the bed and said to Wu Yu, who had a concerned expression, "Zhang Xiaobao doesn't care about the imperial concubine at all. It's like an adult looking at a child playing a trick. After easily resolving it, he goes back to doing what he should do. The method that we thought of is a joke to Zhang Xiaobao. Do you really think that he didn't want to charge a deposit fee because he couldn't think of any other method? That was because all the banks of the Great Tang worked together and were not affected at all. He really thought of it on the spur of the moment. How could he make all the banks so stable? This means that he already had such a plan, but he didn't use it. He just happened to use it when we made a move. I'm really worried that the plan of exchanging silk for money will be affected in the same way. You must be careful. One step at a time. Don't be reckless." "Really?" "Yes, I will be careful," Wu Yu said with uncertainty and promised. The sound of the waves and the clear blue water. Zhang Xiaobao, who had already returned to Jili province, began to instruct his subordinates to get busy with the spring plowing. This year was the same as last year. They would plant more soybeans and less rice. Only when the problem of the river was solved could they plant all rice. Soybeans were good and the land was good. As for the yield, it wasn't important. The tax paid last year wasn't much. It was just a formality. The surrounding provinces were the same. The Anong Protectorate had paid most of its taxes. The Rao Lu Commandery, Songma Commandery, and Bohai Commandery were still stubbornly holding on. They weren't willing to set the precedent. Once they paid the tax, they would acknowledge Li Longji's absolute rule. This was different from paying tribute. Wang Wan wasn't ready for war yet. She continued to train her army and looked forward to the opportunity of a small-scale battle. She could use it to train her soldiers. Soldiers who had never seen blood would always be new recruits. Besides the daily tasks, Xiao Bei and the others now had one more thing to do, which was to watch their younger brother and sister. The two little guys cried for a few days after leaving their mother. Later they gradually got used to it and were fine. Usually they drank milk and slept. Occasionally, when they were awake, they would open their eyes and look at the world curiously, alternating between crying and laughing. Why are they crying and laughing at the same time? Xiao Bei propped his chin on his hand and asked curiously. Xiao Zhu was drawing the two little guys with her brush. Even though the drawing didn't look like them, she was still very serious. Danan and Xiao Nan did not know how to answer, so they remained silent. Zhang Chong, Zhang Gang, and Zhang Fong were also attracted by Xiao Bei's question and were thinking hard. Xiao Hai, on the other hand, continued to mumble various mathematical terms. Only Xiao Yuan was holding a cup of honey water. From time to time he would take a sip, looking like an old scholar. Occasionally, he would pluck a sentence or two from a book to show his erudite memory. The two little guys were the ones to answer Xiao Bei's question, their mouths making vague sounds. It wasn't until a ray of sunlight shone in that the room returned from its previous tranquility to liveliness. Zhang Xiaobao had brought his medical doctor over to see the two little guys. Just like Xiao Bei and the others, they had to be examined once a day to avoid any unexpected consequences. Xiao Bei watched the medical doctor examine the two little guys. He pulled on his brother's clothes and asked the same question again. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a moment. He didn't say that crying and laughing were the easiest actions for people to express their emotions. Instead, he said to Xiao Bei, because when they were born into this world, they knew that there would be both happiness and disaster in a person's life. So that's how it is. Then, should we not cry when we encounter sad things in the future? Should we just smile all the time? Xiao Bei seemed to understand a little, but it also seemed like he didn't completely understand. Cry when you need to, laugh when you need to. Shouldn't Xiao Bei also be examined today? Zhang Xiaobao said as he patted his sister's head. Xiao Bei nodded vigorously. Yes, once every 3 days. Exactly 3 days. Brother, when will Xiaolu be back? He should be back in a few days. Zhang Xiaobao looked to the north as he spoke. He didn't know if the people he had sent to the Moh last year had adapted. According to the estimation of the distance, they should have returned by now. It was probably because the road was difficult to travel and they were delayed on the road. This time, not only did they have to bring back a large amount of ginseng, but they also had to bring back ferrets and various local animals and plants that they could encounter on the road. They would artificially breed those that could be bred. As for those that couldn't be bred, they would see if they could be processed to find a better market. Then I'll wait a little longer. They said that there's going to be a war here. Is that true? Are you afraid? Well, even if there is a war, it will be far from here. No one will dare to come here. I'm not afraid. I still have a tripping rope. Brother, I'm all grown up. Can I have a servant? A 5th-rank official. Xiao Bei recalled the time when he was rejected when he asked for a servant. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and nodded. Xiao Bei, you have to find a servant yourself. I won't give you the money to support the servant. Have you thought about where to find a servant with your salary? Yes. I'll tell you when the time comes. Xiao Bei shook his head as if he had won a victory. At this time, the doctor finished examining the two little guys. Little young master, everything is normal. Do you want to examine Xiao Bei and Xiao Bei? Yes, check. They have eaten a lot of candy recently. See how their teeth are. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. While Jili province was peaceful, everywhere between the clouds and the water and Blue Sea Silver Sand Restaurant was in chaos. Blue Sea Silver Sand Restaurant was in a price war. The price of wine and dishes dropped again and again, snatching a lot of business from between the clouds and the water. Just when everyone thought that between the clouds and the water would also lower the price, between the clouds and the water suddenly increased the price of wine and dishes. Many female waitresses were hired to be in charge of welcoming and delivering customers. The interior of the restaurant was reduced, but there were some extra things in the middle. For example, a small bridge over flowing water and a reflection of the moon in the pond were all made in the restaurant. As a result, people who paid attention to this matter found that not only did the business between the clouds and the water not decrease, but more rich people were willing to go between the clouds and the water. It seemed that eating between the clouds and the water was better than eating there. Some people who knew about this were happy, while others were very angry. Wu Huifei naturally belonged to the angry group. She originally planned to use the merchants of Jiangnan East to weaken between the clouds and the water, but who knew that it would become between the clouds and the water? She immediately sent someone to tell Wu Feng to think of a solution. Wu Feng's illness was more or less healed, but he was still a little weak. He got up and found Zhang Lan to discuss with her. "Manager Wu, why are you looking for me?" Zhang Lan asked after the two sat down in the study. "What else can it be? Between the clouds and the water didn't lose money, but earned more. This is different from what we thought at first. Can you think of another way?" Wu Feng was a little helpless when he received this task, so he asked Zhang Lan when he got someone to send tea and snacks. Zhang Lan frowned when she heard that. She thought for a while and said, "This is not easy. The person behind Between the Clouds and the Water is Song Jinggong, the #1 person on the top list of billionaires. If you want to compete with him in business, first of all, it is troublesome to calculate, and second, you don't have enough money." "You don't have money?" Wu Feng asked. "Yes, but we can't spend all of it on opposing the Shuiyun Club. Right now we can't lower the price any further. This won't work against the Shuiyun Club. All of the merchants of the Jiangnan East Road added together will only be able to match the wealth of the Zhang and Wang families. The Zhang and Wang families have a lot of money. If we really go all out, we'll be losing 800 of our own men. Manager Wu, you can't expect us to go all out against Zhang family and Wang family, can you? When we first came here we said that we would make money. Now that we have invested more and earned less, we can't afford to go all out." Zhang Lan looked like she was deceived, as if she was complaining and helpless. Wu Feng also looked a little embarrassed, but he didn't care. After all, a portion of the merchants of Jiangnan East, led by Zhang Lan, had already boarded the pirate ship. Hearing Zhang Lan's complaints, he asked, "Then what should we do now? We can't just watch Between the Clouds and the water grow stronger again. Now that things are like this, since we are going to go against Between the Clouds and the water, then we can't be the only ones doing the work. Don't tell me that no one hates Between the Clouds and the water. Why don't we find more people and join forces? I'll think of a way to distribute a portion of the business to those who are willing to join forces." Zhang Lan pondered for a moment and suggested, "That's fine, I'll go and contact them now. When the time comes, I'll let Zhang Xiaobao know the consequences of offending the Empress." Wu Feng agreed and picked up his teacup again. Zhang Lan also drank a mouthful of tea, put down the teacup and left. Wu Feng, on the other hand, began to busy himself with roping in other people, wanting to deal with Between the Clouds and the water together. A few days later, Wu Feng found Zhang Lan again and brought her to a courtyard. At this time, there were already many people gathered in the courtyard, each of them forming a circle and chatting happily. The moment Wu Feng entered the courtyard, everyone came forward to greet him. Come, let me introduce someone to everyone. The owner of the Jade Sea Silver Sands. Zhang Lan, owner Zhang. Everyone please take a look. Owner Zhang, this is Golden Wave Pavilion's owner Feng, this is Treasure House's owner Zheng, this is Tasting Tea Garden's owner Wang, and this is... Wu Feng began to introduce everyone. Compared to Zhang Lan's Jade Sea Silver Sands, the other people's properties were much lesser. If they didn't gather everyone together, they really wouldn't be able to cooperate with the Jade Sea Silver Sands. The merchants looked at Zhang Lan and felt conflicted. They were jealous of Zhang Lan's Jade Sea Silver Sands, but they also admired it. None of them knew what to say. Fortunately, Wu Feng was in the middle of it. Gradually, the distance between everyone and Zhang Lan was shortened. Wine and dishes were served, and everyone began to eat. They talked about the wind and the moon and talked about the north and south of the country. It wasn't until night time when the banquet was removed and replaced with tea and fruits that Wu Feng began to talk about the main topic. Everyone, I'm sure you all understand in your hearts that I've called you here today, and that is to work together to deal with between the clouds and the water. As everyone knows, between the clouds and the water has been snatching other people's business all these years. There's the tavern, the dock, and the supermarket, squeezing the original merchants until there's no space left. If they continue to develop, how can we survive? Manager Wu's words are correct. Zhang Lan echoed. My people from Jiangnan East came here just to earn some money, but between the clouds and the water immediately started to suppress us. If we don't do anything about it, there will be endless trouble in the future. We should work together. The merchants immediately followed suit, saying that between the clouds and the water was not good. They didn't dare to directly mention the Zhang family and the Wang family, afraid that someone would betray them and let Zhang family and the Wang family know about it. They only targeted between the clouds and the water, which was a business transaction, so they didn't have to worry about the Zhang family and the Wang family using other means. Although they said that, many people understood that it wasn't between the clouds and the water that went overboard, but that they didn't seize the opportunity. When between the clouds and the water expanded, it was always the merchants in the same industry who asked about cooperation. It was only after some people read the contract that they thought that they could get more benefits, and even hoped that after between the clouds and the water came over, they would not cooperate with them and would instead benefit from the cooperation. In the end, they saw what it meant to be a fierce dragon crossing the river. None of them lost money, and they only earned a little less than before. However, when they saw that the others who cooperated with between the clouds and the water were earning more, they felt that it was unfair. They wanted to bribe the local people who cooperated with between the clouds and the water to produce goods and snatch the business, but because of the contract, they couldn't succeed. They watched as the people, merchants, and various businesses between the clouds and the water profited, but their side was still half dead. When they went to look for between the clouds and the water to cooperate, the conditions between the clouds and the water offered were even harsher. A person's life depended on their face, and a tree's life depended on its bark. They couldn't agree to the cooperation even if they wanted to, so they could only secretly hate in their hearts. Now that they finally found an opportunity, it didn't matter what they said. What was important was whether they could suppress between the clouds and the water. After a while, the grievance meeting was over. Everyone agreed on the direction of the operation, and that was to defeat between the clouds and the water. As for whether they could defeat it in the end, it didn't matter. They just wanted to give it a try first. Manager Wu, what should we do? Feng Dongjia of the Golden Wave Pavilion asked when he saw that there was no practical way to do it. Wu Feng also didn't know what to do. He turned his head to look at Jiang Lan. Let's let Jiang Dongjia speak. Jiang Lan didn't stand on ceremony. She coughed and said, All right, let me say it. Everyone, help me think if there are any omissions. Here's what I think. If we want to deal with between the clouds and the water, we have to first destroy his signboard, which is the wine embrace between the clouds and the water. Otherwise, as long as there is a wine embrace between the clouds and the water, it will be very difficult to deal with his other businesses. What do you think? Yes. Few people nodded in response. Jiang Lan continued. If we want to deal with the wine embrace between the clouds and the water, we naturally have to rely on the blue sea silver sand. It's also the wine embrace. If we can snatch the business between the clouds and the water, it will be a success. At this point, Feng Dongjia interrupted. Jiang Dongjia, the blue sea silver sand wine embrace is not bad, but the recent price reduction doesn't seem to have any effect. Not only did it not suppress between the clouds and the water, but it also made the business between the clouds and the water even better. Many people feel that eating between the clouds and the water is better than eating between the clouds and the water. Could it be that we can continue to reduce the price? As if someone had hit a sore spot, Jiang Lan's face turned slightly red. She explained, Everyone knows that between the clouds and the water is backed by Song Jinggong, the number one on the top list of billionaires. Behind Song Jinggong is the young master of the Zhang family, Zhang Xiaobao, an existence that is beyond the rankings. With their abilities, it's too easy to turn the tables. The Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace was not prepared at that time and suffered a loss. Now we have thought of a countermeasure. It's just that we lack money, so we need everyone to work together. I wonder what Zhang Dongjia has thought of. Wang Dongjia of Tsingming Garden saw that Zhang Lan spoke frankly and admitted their shortcomings, so he asked, "Well, divide the Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace into 3 levels. The highest level is on the 3rd floor, the 2nd floor is on the 2nd floor, and the last floor is on the 1st floor. You can earn money from both the rich and the ordinary people. Between the clouds and the water can only earn money from the rich now, and give up on the low end. The Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace has decided to combine the two. You can invest in the Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace and expand the business. I'm willing to give up the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors. I only need 1 floor, and the other 2 floors will be used to invest." Zhang Lan explained. "Then how do we calculate it?" Jing Dongjia asked again. Zhang Lan took out a few pieces of paper from her arms and put them on the table. She said, "Except for the capital and the central cities of Gyeonggi province, other places will be calculated at a discount. For example, the Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace in Gwanei province is worth 3,000 strings of coins. If you take out 3,000 strings of coins, then each of you will get 50%. The 1st floor, 2nd floor, and 3rd floor will be divided into the 2nd, and 3rd floors. Those who want the 1st floor have to pay 20% of the money. Those on the 2nd floor have to pay 30% of the money. Those on the 3rd floor have to pay 40%. And the extra 10% is used to deal with public relations. In other words, if I want to occupy the 1st floor, I need to pay 1,200 strings of coins. And if I want to occupy the 3rd floor, I need to pay 2,400 strings of coins. The extra 10% will also be paid, which is 600 divided by 9. It's more detailed." Everyone listened to Zhang Lan's words and began to pass the pieces of paper. It was written very clearly that when the money was paid, it would be put together. When the time came, it would be counted separately, including the cooks. If they still wanted to use the original Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace, they would have to pay separately. Everyone's investment in each bar could not exceed the original value of the bar. In other words, Zhang Lan wanted to hold the controlling stake. Everyone's investment would be used partly for renovation and partly for advertising. In order to show her sincerity, Zhang Lan did not charge any signboard fee. Otherwise, the name Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace would be worth a lot of money. After that, the money invested would be used to buy the surrounding houses and build more courtyards for people to rest in. The ratio was equal to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors. The 3rd floor belonged to the high end, and it had to make the best food. The 2nd floor belonged to the middle. It could be slightly worse, but the scenery must be there. The 1st floor was low end. It had the nature of fast food, and one could slowly taste the wine and dishes in it. In this way, the low end earned the money of ordinary people. The 2nd floor was the same as the noble guests between the clouds and the water. The 3rd floor was to be high quality, higher than between the clouds and the water. The merchants could choose first from the 3rd floor, and Zhang Lan would ask for the rest. As for the Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace in Gyeonggi province, others would have to pay more. When they first occupied the space, they spent a lot of money on public relations fees. The group of merchants began to calculate how much money each person should take and which floor to occupy. In the end, they realized that they could not occupy the 3rd floor of the Blue Sea Silver Sand wine embrace. One was that the 3rd floor was small, and there might not be that many guests. Moreover, the cost was high. The other was that if they wanted to have a foothold on the 3rd floor, they had to have a good chef and ingredients. Otherwise, others would not go to the 3rd floor. After some discussion, everyone reached an agreement. They immediately prepared the money and occupied the 1st and 2nd floors. They prepared a separate space for Zhang Lan on the 2nd floor for her to do other things. This way, the arrangement of shares would be reasonable. In order to take revenge, everyone raised money very quickly. In a few days, a large sum of money was sent to Jianglan, and a shopkeeper was sent over to see how to spend it. As the saying went, there was no such thing as an impermeable wall. While Wu Feng and Jianglan were preparing, someone spread the news. Gao Lishir, who had been paying attention to his son, found out about this matter. It just so happened that a lot of things were sent over from Jili province, including ingredients. Gao Lishir had someone prepare them and bring them to Li Longji. Li Longji had been in a good mood recently. One reason was that the people sent by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to the north had returned. They said that the land there was good, that there were almost no people, and that there were many resources. Another reason was that the two of them had bought a large piece of land in the new province's commander-in-chief's office not far from the Anong Protectorate. In the end, they found a lot of coal there which could be used for smelting. There were also large pieces of amber and coal essence to be sent over to be used as decorations. In addition, ever since the Great Tang Bank had become more stable in Suzhou, more people were willing to save money. Zhang Xiaobao was gradually diluting the shares of other people. With more money they could expand. What they needed to do now was to turn the recruits into conscripts. Actually, the amount of money spent was about the same, but the difference between conscripts and recruits was that they were stronger. Even though it would cost money to let them go back a few years later to find a job, they knew what they were fighting for when they fought. Soldiers with conviction were invincible. With so many good things happening at the same time, Li Longji deliberately invited Empress Wang and Wu Huifei to Xingqing Palace during the meal. Although the two women had their own plans in mind, they appeared to be amiable on the surface. The dishes had already been arranged, but when they were eating, they suddenly realized that there was an extra dish. Li Longji looked at the extra dish and turned his head to ask Gao Lishir, "Your Majesty, it was just sent over not long ago." Xiao Bao said that this is the meat of the Manchurian tiger. It tastes good and can nourish the body, so he sent it over. There is also a complete tiger skin, bones and penis. Gao Lishir explained and signaled for a eunuch to bring a piece over. Good tiger meat is good. What have Xiao Bao and Cuckoo been busy with recently? Does Lishir know? Li Longji asked happily. Your Majesty, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo sent a letter saying that they want to build a steel-making furnace. They found many craftsmen to go to the governor's office in the new city and sent 3,000 soldiers to protect them. They failed a few times and still haven't succeeded. If they succeed, our army will be stronger. Gao Lishir replied and then frowned. Your Majesty, I heard that Blue Sea Silver Sand found many merchants to deal with between the clouds and the water. They are currently renovating. I don't know if Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will be able to take care of them. There's such a thing. Li Longji was stunned and also worried. At this time, Wu Huifei gently explained, Your Majesty, Xiao Bao is very capable. It shouldn't be a problem for him to deal with Blue Sea Silver Sand. If he really can't do it, Your Majesty can issue a decree and have the Blue Sea Silver Sand officials help between the clouds and the water. If the Blue Sea Silver Sand doesn't listen, then send troops to seize him. Your Majesty, you can't. If you send troops, where will between the clouds and the water be? Gao Lishir hurriedly dissuaded. Your concubine was wrong. Indeed, we can't send troops to deal with them. What should we do? Xiao Bao and Huan Huan have given your concubine a lot of gifts. Wu Huifei quickly followed up. How could Li Longji not know that Wu Huifei didn't mean what she said? However, he couldn't side with anyone, especially not Wu Huifei. Otherwise, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo would be anxious. Write a letter to Xiao Bao and let him know. Li Longji could only remind them. At this time, Empress Wang also spoke. Your Majesty, your concubine thinks that Xiao Bao doesn't need others to remind him of such a small matter. Your Majesty can just watch. These words made Wu Huifei feel surprised. Could it be that Empress Wang didn't protect Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan? Reminding them at a critical time was better than anything else. The two of them were in Jili province. By the time they got the news, it would be too late. Gao Lishir also glanced at Empress Wang and didn't say anything. Li Longji hesitated and nodded, agreeing with Empress Wang. Everyone began to eat again. Only Empress Wang ate calmly. She knew what was going on with Blue Sea Silver Sand. On the way back to the capital, she guessed it from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's words. She thought to herself, I wonder who's going to be unlucky. Xiaobao always likes to set traps for others. I hope he doesn't teach Juner and Panner to be like this. The meal was eaten peacefully as everyone had their own thoughts. Then they went back to their own places. As soon as Empress Wang returned to her palace, she immediately found a group of palace maids to play with. Wu Huifei sent someone to ask Wu Feng how the news was leaked and asked him to keep it a secret. Gao Lishir still wrote a letter to Zhang Xiaobao, asking if he had any ideas. When Zhang Xiaobao received the letter, he was thinking about refractory bricks with Wang Wan. If they wanted to build an open hearth furnace and a blast furnace, they couldn't do it without refractory bricks. They failed again and again, making the two of them lose confidence. I say, how did the steel mill be built during the Industrial Revolution? Can't you understand if we copy it? Zhang Xiaobao was a little discouraged. That was developed by many industries together. Don't worry, we can do it bit by bit. The craftsmen still need time. Think about how to make refractory bricks. Wang Wan was not in a hurry. She was thinking hard. That's a lot. Let's use clay and then mix in furnace ash. Let the craftsmen test the proportion. I don't believe that they can't do it. Zhang Xiaobao rubbed his face hard and asked someone to send the formula to the craftsman. Wang Wan also pressed her temples. She took the unopened letter that Gao Lishir asked someone to send over and tore it open. After reading it, she said to Zhang Xiaobao, "The fish took the bait. Let's wait and see. Look, there are quite a few people who hate us. Oh, there are people in the Blue Sea Silver Sands forming an alliance. Good, it's good that they formed an alliance. After this, a lot of people will be honest. Has there been any news from the governor's office of the new city? What's their reaction?" Zhang Xiaobao took the letter and glanced at it. What other reaction can there be? They're not happy. They feel that they lost out and want to buy back the land. Dream on. That's an open pit mine. It's easy to dig it up and can be used to make steel. Wang Wan passed another letter from the other side to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and didn't take it. It was fine as long as he knew. He asked, "Is it time to send troops up the coast? Let's go to North America first and bring back the good stuff." "There's no hurry. Train for another half a month. When the time comes, send 1,000 people to explore the road. Your potatoes and corn will be ready soon." Wang Wan didn't know if this trip would be successful. This could be said to be the first time the Tang Empire explored North America. It was a long journey. She hoped that the people sent could overcome all kinds of difficulties. Under the attention of many people, the renovated Blue Sea's Silver Sand reopened. The crackling of firecrackers didn't stop, and there was a long line of people who came to support the opening. The people gathered to watch the show. The people eating at Between the Clouds and the Water were also very curious. This was another war between two restaurants. It was just that no one knew who would win. Wu Feng was waiting for success, and Wu Huifei was also looking forward to venting her anger. For 3 consecutive days, the business of the Blue Sea's Silver Sand was very good. The restaurant also learned from Between the Clouds and the Water and hired many female employees, especially on the 3rd floor. The grades were determined, and everyone was earning their own money. Jiang Lan and the other businessmen were very happy. But as the 4th day came, the number of people eating at the Blue Sea's Silver Sand gradually decreased. To be precise, the number of people eating at the 1st and 2nd floor decreased, but the number of people eating at the 3rd floor was still the same. This situation made the businessmen who cooperated with Jiang Lan puzzled. Why was it like this? With all kinds of puzzlement, Zheng Dongjia stopped a customer who came to eat at the restaurant a few days ago. "Master Wan, what have you been busy with recently?" Zheng Dongjia tried to find a topic to talk about. "Nothing much, just like before. You're busy and I'm strolling around. Master Wan was obviously perfunctory. Don't, it's almost noon. Why don't you come in and eat? My treat. Zhang Dongjia was about to pull the other party into the restaurant as he spoke. When the other party saw that Zhang Dongjia was going to pull him in through the front door, he struggled with all his might, but he really didn't have the strength to say, Zhang Dongjia, don't make it difficult for me. I'll just find a place to eat in front. Master Wan, why don't you want to eat at the Blue Sea's Silver Sand? Zhang Dongjia asked, puzzled. Who said I don't want to come? I'm willing to go up to the third floor from the outside, but it costs too much. I can't eat here every day. As for going in through the front door, forget it. Spending the same amount of money to eat at other restaurants is a cut above the others, but eating on the first and second floors of the Blue Sea's Silver Sand is a cut below the others. Am I not looking for trouble for no reason? Master Wan finally told the truth. After he finished speaking, he finally took off his clothes while Zhang Dongjia was in a daze. He hurriedly rushed forward, as if he was afraid that Zhang Dongjia would chase after him again. Zhang Dongjia was dumbfounded. He looked back at the Blue Sea's Silver Sand restaurant and thought about what Master Wan said just now. He suddenly understood. So that's how it is. The first and second floors are neither too low nor too high. If you really want to go low end, you have to continue lowering the price to the level of a small restaurant. But in that case, you won't even be able to recoup your capital. Just the money you spent on renovations is not a small amount. If you raise the price and the chef's skills are not good enough, wouldn't it be better for people to eat on the third floor or in the water transport room? Why would they come to the first and second floors of the Blue Sea's Silver Sand restaurant? What should I do? Stairs, yes, it's best to tear down the outside stairs. That way, when people enter the restaurant, they won't know which floor to go to. Okay, I'll go find someone to discuss it. Chapter 794. When the people who worked with Jiang Lan found that the restaurant could not make money and came to discuss with Jiang Lan took out the contract she had signed and showed it to them. There were various clauses clearly written on it, and one of them was to build stairs outside on one day. The businessmen were dumbfounded. They saw that Jiang Lan wanted to prepare everything according to the contract. She did not look as easy to talk to as before. If they did not want to do it, they could not get back their investment. They could leave, but they could not take the money with them. It would benefit Jiang Lan and the others. Feng Dongjia, who was in charge of the first floor, could not help but say to Jiang Lan helplessly, Jiang Dongjia, the first floor of the Sea of Silver Sand that I have booked is almost no longer profitable. If this continues, we will lose money in a few days. Can Jiang Dongjia think of a way? The other businessmen who were not good at business also echoed. Since they could not threaten Jiang Lan, they could only speak softly. Jiang Lan frowned and looked sympathetic. It's difficult to think of a way. If there is a good way, the Sea of Silver Sand will not be inferior to Between the Clouds and the Water. If you want to talk about a way. There is one, but I don't know if you want to try it. Jiang Dongjia, if you really have a way, please tell us. Wang Dongjia asked anxiously. Well, it's not difficult. Since others are not willing to eat on the first and second floors of the Sea of Silver Sand, why don't we send it to other people's houses? Hire more servants and run around the various roads every day. The bicycles sold elsewhere are not bad. Buy a few and let the servants ride them. Write the words on the front of the bicycles and let people shout as they walk a few days ago. When more people know about it, they can stop and order food. Then let people ride back to the restaurant and send the food over. What do you think? Jiang Lan kindly gave everyone an idea. The businessmen thought about it and found that this idea was indeed not bad. Usually, people would send people to the restaurant to order food and let the restaurant send it over. Naturally, it could not be compared to someone riding a bicycle and shouting. Many people's eyes lit up. They were grateful and impressed by Jiang Lan. It was not easy to think of such a method. At this time, Feng Dongjia spoke again. Jiang Dongjia, it's good, but not many people come to the restaurant. Won't the place be empty? When the others heard Feng Dongjia's words, they also realized this problem. Since they could order food, wouldn't the first and second floors be wasted? Ah, that's right, it's empty. Then everyone think of other ways. We can't always be empty. Zhonglun looked helpless. Then let's try it out first. If it really doesn't work out, we can only accept the loss. Some people in the crowd had already decided to back out. They would rather give up the money they had invested than continue to invest. It was no longer important whether they still had to deal with between the clouds and the water. Before the others could do anything, Wu Feng, who had also come to participate in the meeting, was anxious. It was not easy for them to unite as a group to deal with between the clouds and the water. If they were to disperse like this, they would not be able to regroup again. This would only make the name between the clouds and the water even more famous. He hurriedly tried to dissuade them. Everyone, don't be anxious. Think about it again. There's always a way. Zhonglun also said, Fine, I'll think about it later. When I have a solution, I'll discuss it with you guys. Let's go buy a bicycle first. The merchants left one by one, very discouraged. Originally, they were planning to deal with between the clouds and the water. Now they were going to buy Zhang Dongjia and Wang's bicycles. Those bicycles were not cheap. Zhang Dongjia and Wang's were not selling them well. Other than the rich people who bought one or two for the sake of novelty, no one else was willing to buy them. The worst bicycle cost more than 100 strings of coins. It was still possible to ride a bicycle in the city, but outside the city, when it was raining and the roads were not good, it was better to ride a carriage or a donkey. When everyone left and only Zhonglun and Wu Feng were left, Wu Feng said to Zhonglun with a sad face, Zhang Dongjia, I don't know if they can still take out the money. Recently they have to buy a batch of silk, so they are a little tight on cash. Zhonglun shook her head regretfully. Manager Wu, we have the money, but we can't transfer it over. We also need to make arrangements for the Zhongnan East Road. Why don't we ask other merchants? 3 days, at most 3 days. I will definitely be able to think of a way to solve the restaurant's problem. Alright, I will find someone to ask tomorrow. Wu Feng had no other choice. Recently he had bought too much silk. The silk he bought in private was sold at a 10% discount or 95% of the original price. He was afraid of alerting the enemy, so he had not deposited it in the bank yet. He planned to wait for a period of time before depositing it all together and taking it out in batches. The key was to get through this period of time. After Wu Feng left with his people, Zhonglun smiled and picked up the cold tea in front of her. She took a sip and muttered, You dare to fight with a young master? Take the silk, take it, let's see who loses in the end. The capital was bustling with people coming and going. The number of animals in the zoo had increased by quite a lot. Those animals that could be raised well were gradually opened to tourists. In order to ensure the freshness of the animals, the newly arrived animals were not immediately shown to people, but taken out bit by bit. People who did not have other channels to learn about animals still yearned for the zoo. This led to the zoo's income being much higher than Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's. Other than the cost of feeding and research, there was still a sum of money left. Today was the day of the end of the month settlement. Gao Lisher brought people to deposit the money. When he returned, there was a team that specialized in pulling money. They came to Xingqing Palace and reported to Li Longji. This month, we earned a total of 6,000 strings of cash from selling tickets and renting out stalls. Good, we earned quite a lot. We have extra money to use again. Hearing the data from Gao Lisher, Li Longji noted down a round number. 6,000 strings of cash was not much compared to the tax, but it was still an income, and it was increasing month by month. Your Majesty, Xiao Bao sent a letter saying that he will send 2 sharks in a few days. He wants us to build a pond here first, which is where Your Majesty wants to build the lake. It will be used to raise the creatures in the sea first. After all, there is not enough salt in Jili State yet. Also, Xiao Bao suggested that Your Majesty should open up the imperial gardens a few times a month. Otherwise, it would be a waste to leave them there. Jili State will provide a lot of things there for others to buy and sell in the gardens. Gao Lisher brought up 2 more things. In the past, Li Longji would not agree to open up the imperial gardens so casually. It was a symbol of identity and status. Now he had changed a lot and knew the importance of money. He wanted to occupy more land, but it was absolutely impossible without money, especially recruiting conscripts. It was better than letting each place raise money to recruit soldiers. It could prevent others from rebelling. So he agreed. Seeing that the emperor agreed to the two things, Gao Lishur took out a few pieces of paper that looked special. They were 6 inches long and 2 inches wide. There were delicate patterns printed on both sides. When he touched them with his hand, he could feel the bumps and depressions in some places. Li Longji took them and looked at them one by one. There were different numbers written on them. Some were 100 coins, some were 1,000 coins, and the smallest one was 10 coins. The paper was a little small. The only thing that did not change was Kaiyuan Tong Bao. This is. Li Longji waved the paper in his hand and asked, Your Majesty, this is the money that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo asked people to make. In the future, it will be used to replace copper coins and silk. It is said that countless craftsmen work together to create this anti-counterfeiting thing. If you look at it, you can see the bumps and depressions in the blank space on one side. It is not on the surface of the paper. Gao Lishur explained. Li Longji held the light paper in his hand and looked at the largest number on it, which was 1 million coins. He felt that it was not so reliable. It was not as valuable as copper coins. He asked with uncertainty, Will people be willing to use it? What will happen if it is less than 10 coins? Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are currently making the money that is less than 10 coins. They need to use a die to press it and not cast it like before. When the time comes, if someone wants to forge it by hand, it will not be worth the effort. As for whether people will be willing to use paper money, this is easy to handle. Xiao Bao wants Your Majesty to issue a decree that when paper money is issued, the imperial court will accept paper money for tax purposes. Xiao Bao will also cooperate with other merchants to accept the purchasing power of paper money. When people get used to it, it will be fine. Gao Lishur said and then said, Your Majesty, the benefits of using paper money are not only to prevent people from making copper coins privately, but also to eliminate the storage cost of silk. More importantly, it is convenient to carry. It saves a lot of effort when transporting compared to copper. There are other benefits that Xiao Bao did not mention. I think it will not be simple. Li Longji held the paper money in his hand and thought for a while. Then he said, Let Xiao Bao and others print more first. Where is the place to print money? Li Longji was not stupid. He knew that printing money was unusual. If people casually printed money for fun in the future, the country would be finished. Your Majesty, the place to print money is now in Jili province. Xiao Bao is preparing to move the printing factory to the capital. When the time comes, Your Majesty should find someone to guard it. Gao Lishur immediately responded. Then what should we do with the silk? There is a lot of silk in the Tang Empire. Should we sell it to the people? Li Longji thought of another problem that needed to be solved. Gao Lishur sighed and replied, Your Majesty, there is already a market for the silk. It can be sold in Xinyuan province, Japan and Xinlua. There are also merchants in Tufan and Tujue. Xiao Bao is considering cooperation with them. Xinyuan province and Japan will be handed over to merchants in Jiangnan East. Other places have not been considered yet. Jiangnan East. Blue Sea Silver Sand. Li Longji suddenly thought of the restaurant between the clouds and the water. Yes, Xiao Bao wrote in a letter that Blue Sea Silver Sand is also his. It is not a good thing for between the clouds and the water to monopolize. Needs competitors. It is just that merchants who cooperate with Blue Sea Silver Sand to deal with between the clouds and the water are suffering. Most of their money is restricted and they can only make a little money. Gao Lishur showed an expression of schadenfreude. Li Longji was stunned and said, No wonder you can run the restaurant so well. I thought there was another capable person. I wrote a letter to Xiao Bao and asked him to leave some leeway. Don't be so ruthless. Li Longji did not doubt Zhang Xiaobao's ability. If he wanted to make people who opposed him lose all their property, there would be people who could survive. Your Majesty, rest assured. Xiaobao has already stayed. In a few days, there will be new movements on the first and second floors of Blue Sea Silver Sand. At the same time, the third floor of Blue Sea Silver Sand, which is adjacent to or directly opposite between the clouds and the water, will also change. There will be competition and cooperation. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Come on, come on. The government of Jili province was very lively. Xiao Bei and the others watched the two little ones trying to turn the tables and cheered them on. From time to time they would give a demonstration. The two little ones did not understand what the others were shouting. When they saw someone turning the tables, they would follow suit. Every time they turned the tables, they would giggle a few times. They seemed to be very interested in this kind of game. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also temporarily put aside their work and accompanied them, enjoying this warm moment. Only when the two little ones were tired and hungry and were about to cry did Xiao Bei and the others stop and find a wet nurse to feed their little brother and sister. Xiaobao, when are we going to do it? Wang Wan suddenly asked a question that the others did not understand. Wait a little longer. When the news spreads to all the banks, we will come together. On the 6th of next month, I want to see who will cooperate with Wu Huifei after this incident. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Xiao Bei and the others, who said that they were going to find guards for him, run out one after another, and replied to Wang Wan. Wang Wan did not say anything more on this topic and changed the topic. Then what about printing money? How can we not let Li Longji print money randomly? Li Longji will not print money randomly. He is not stupid. Unless there is a financial problem, he will devalue the currency to deal with it. As for whether or not someone will print money crazily in the future, that is not something we can control. Zhang Xiaobao really did not know what to do about this matter. Not to mention now, even if it was at any other time, he would still print money. Which country had not done this before? Wang Wan stretched lazily. Then let's wait until the 6th. I'm sleepy, so I will go back and take a nap. Tomorrow we will send 1,000 people to North America to find something good for you. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The days passed by one after another. When the 6th arrived, the great Tang Bank suddenly posted a notice. It said a total of 2 things. The first was naturally paper money. Zhang Xiaobao contacted many merchants and agreed to accept paper money. Anyone who used paper money to buy things would enjoy a 5% discount this month. Those who were used to using money did not have any objections, but the ordinary people were confused. Could a piece of paper be used as money? Even with the merchant's promise, they were hesitant. They wanted to see the effect if someone else changed it first. The smarter people immediately thought of counterfeiting. In the past, they could secretly make copper coins, so now they could try to make paper money. However, when they saw paper money, they were discouraged. It was too difficult to make. If they used a pen to draw, it would be easy to make mistakes in the small details. They also had to find the same paper and the same oil. Drawing one would take at least a few months. It was also possible to draw 100 strings of coins. The problem was how to make the marks on the paper between the bumps and depressions on the money and the light. Those who wanted to counterfeit temporarily suppressed their thoughts. They needed to improve their skills. Chapter 795. Wu Yu, who was busy buying silk at a lower price, was dumbfounded when he saw the notice posted by the Tang Bank. For the exchange of silk, the bank was only offering 80% of the original value. A bolt of silk that was once worth 200 copper coins could only be exchanged for 160 copper coins. If one did not want to depreciate, one had to save it for 5 years. Before the 5 years were up, the silk would be worth 80% of its original value. Wu Feng was not in the mood to care about the Jade Sea Silver Sand. He hurriedly found Wu Yu and the two began to discuss. Brother, is Zhang Xiaobao sick? Silk has always been used as a currency. He suddenly reduced the value of silk. What can so many people with silk do? This is equivalent to making people with silk lose 20% of their money. How much profit can the goods make? Wu Yu now knew a lot of things. With a little analysis, he knew where the drawbacks of the bank were. If they followed the bank's notice, the Tang Empire would be in chaos. Wu Feng nodded to show that he understood. His eyes blinked a few times and he suddenly said happily, "Maybe Zhang Xiaobao no longer cares about the lives of the people. It's a good time to find trouble with him. Now no one can protect him, not even the emperor." "Yes, let Her Highness find trouble with him. I'm still using money to buy silk. 90% of the price. Oh no, I don't have any cash." Wu Yu was happy when he suddenly thought of a very serious problem. He raised the money with great difficulty and was still buying silk. Now that the bank was using 80% of the price to buy silk, wouldn't his money be gone in the blink of an eye? Wu Huifei was happy when she found out about the Tang Bank's notice. The opportunity was right in front of her. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had always been careful. This time there was a loophole. Didn't they always say that they were thinking of the people? How should the bank explain buying silk at a lower price? Soon Wu Huifei found her officials and prepared to impeach Zhang Xiaobao for disrupting the Tang Empire's economy and destroying the foundation of the country. Once the impeachment was successful, even if Zhang Xiaobao did not die, he would lose a lot of skin. Wu Huifei and Zhang Shua, who was also waiting for an opportunity, almost coincidentally had the same idea. After a private discussion, they decided to launch the attack at the morning court the next day. "Empress, it's not good. Something big has happened. The great Tang Bank is in trouble." Xiao Zhu, who had just received the news, found Empress Wang while panting. Her chest heaved up and down as she told Empress Wang everything. After hearing Xiao Zhu's words, Empress Wang could no longer remain calm. Her expression changed as she said, "How could Xiao Bao come up with such an idea? You want to push me into the fire pit? Was someone trying to frame Xiao Bao? Quick, go find Gao Lishir." While many people were either happy or anxious, Li Longji was very calm as he played Go with Gao Lishir. Seeing that Gao Lishir was only able to parry and had no strength to counterattack, Li Longji used his hand to lightly twirl a Go piece and said, "Starting from this year's autumn harvest, it will not be difficult for the people to wear clothes." Gao Lishir was thinking hard about the Go game and also had to deal with Li Longji's words. He frowned and randomly placed the black Go piece. Wiping the sweat on his forehead, he replied, "Your Majesty's words are correct. This official estimates that many people will impeach Xiao Bao tomorrow morning. Your Majesty had better quickly release the news. There's no rush. Xiao Bao has said in his heart that we must wait until all the officials are impeached before we act. If we act too early, there will be people who will deliberately oppose us." This step was originally difficult to take, but with the announcement from the bank, it actually went smoothly. Li Longji placed a Go piece and continued to force Gao Lishir to defend as he spoke casually. The next morning, just as Gao Lishir and Li Longji had guessed, the officials from the censorate and the head of the secretariat both impeached Zhang Xiaobao at the same time. Some said that Zhang Xiaobao should not continue to manage the bank, some said that he wanted to harm the country and the people, and some even said that he wanted to shake the foundation of the Great Tang. At this moment, no one was speaking up for Zhang Xiaobao. Sitting on the platform, Li Longji looked at the officials on the two sides of the platform. Some were silent, some were whispering to the people beside them, and some were following the censorate and the head of the secretariat in impeaching Zhang Xiaobao. His face remained calm throughout. Only when some people said that they were tired and others said that their legs were numb from standing did the crowd realize that there was something wrong with the emperor's attitude. Zhang Shua, who had been silent all this while and had been waiting for the emperor to get angry, decided to step forward and list Zhang Xiaobao's crimes. After thinking for a while, he finally stepped forward and said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, does the manager of the Great Tang Bank, Zhang Xiaobao, have any other tricks that he has not used yet? Currency is an important matter for the people and must be investigated." As soon as Zhang Shua said those words, the officials from the censorate and the head of the secretariat looked at each other. What did he mean? Didn't they say that they would impeach Zhang Xiaobao together? Why did they suddenly change their minds? Li Longji was waiting for others to ask. Otherwise, how could he show off his ability? He nodded, indicating for Zhang Shua to step back, and then opened his mouth. What does the Great Tang Bank's 80% revenue have to do with currency? It's not like we don't allow silk to be used as money. It's fine as long as we don't deposit it in the bank. Can it be that when the bank puts up a notice saying that it's buying silk at 10%, there will still be people fighting to deposit it? After hearing this, the officials felt that it was very reasonable. But why did it feel like this reasoning did not hold water? Where did it go wrong? That's right, the bank was buying silk at a low price, so there was no need to deposit it. No one was forcing anyone to deposit it, but this matter should not be so simple. What was going on? Zhang Shua did not immediately react and stood there in a daze. At this time, Li Linfu, who had returned to the court, stood up and said to Li Longji, Your Majesty, firstly, the bank's name is Great Tang, and the people all know that most of the bank's wealth belongs to the imperial court. The bank's notice is issued on behalf of the imperial court. The people do not know the emperor's words, so they only hear it for Your Majesty. Secondly, the transaction is 4 to 6 qian of silk, and the bank is willing to deposit it far and take it near. However, silk is cheap, so how can there be silk in the market? If silk does not exist, how can there be business? Hence, it is cheap and has left the money of the market. Can only become goods or the people will riot. When the others who wanted to impeach Zhang Xiaobao heard this, they suddenly understood. That's right, the bank's name was Great Tang, and everyone knew that the Great Tang Bank was under the control of the imperial court. Wasn't the bank's notice the emperor's intention? How could it be separated? Also, those who did not deposit silk in the bank would leave it behind. They would only deposit their money in the bank here and go to the place where they needed it. It had always been 40% of the silk and 60% of the money. If there was no silk left, how could they trade with others? If everyone did not want silk, the price would be even lower. It was estimated that it would not be long before silk could no longer be used as a currency, and it would become ordinary cloth to be traded. If things went wrong, the people would be in chaos. Finally, they found the root of the problem. Those who wanted to impeach Zhang Xiaobao were eager to give it a try again. Li Longji, who was originally trying to deceive the officials, did not care when he saw a smart person appear. He went along with Li Linfu's words and said, What you said is very true, and we also know that. Therefore, we want to collect silk to fill the national treasury. The time limit is 5 years. The difference between this and the bank is that we will pay interest. Every silk sold will be 1 qian, and we will return it after 5 years. Does everyone agree? Does Your Majesty want to lend money to the people? Zhang Shua stood up and asked. No, we are using money to give to the people. Now that the national treasury is full, it will be even more in 5 years. We will return the money to the people and hide the wealth from the people. When the people are rich, they will be healthy, and when the people are healthy, the country will be strong. Li Longji did not admit that he wanted to borrow from the national treasury. He also wanted to sell the silk sold to the neighboring countries in exchange for better resources. He wanted to abolish the use of silk as a currency. Zhang Shua thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. The national treasury was not lacking in money, and there was no need to cheat the people of their money. However, there was a problem with this, so he said, Your Majesty, every silk sold will be 1 qian per month. If it is 1 qian per year, it will be at least 12 qian per year or 13 qian per year. If it is 5 years, it will be at least 60 qian per year. Does the national treasury have that much money? We are using money to make money. It is not like we are always keeping the money in the national treasury. We can buy goods from the neighboring countries. As long as we earn more than what is given in 5 years, it will be fine. Li Longji explained the problem. In fact, there was something he did not say, and that was that the currency would gradually depreciate. The more productive the economy was, the higher the price of luxury goods would be. When that time came, the price of currency would also fluctuate, and the general trend would be to depreciate. As the number of goods increased, the income of the people would also increase. This could balance out the value of the currency that was depreciating. However, the national treasury was really cheap. This was especially so for Xinyuan Island. The island was not small. From Zhang Xiaobao and the merchants who went there, they knew that there were many good things there. However, the local people were very poor in terms of daily necessities, especially clothes and beds. The local tribe leader was willing to send 100 people to work for a month for a beautiful piece of clothing. How could there be such a good thing in the Great Tang? After hearing Li Longji's words, the person who had just accused Zhang Xiaobao was speechless. Zhang Shua was a little unwilling. Just as he was about to continue arguing for the emperor to punish Zhang Xiaobao, Li Longji spoke again. The printing of banknotes cannot be done in Jili province. It needs to be moved to the capital. Who do you think should be in charge of it? Printing money. These two words suddenly appeared in their minds. It was not only the person who had accused Zhang Xiaobao. Everyone focused their attention. Everyone wanted a share. In the end, Zhang Xiaobao was selectively forgotten. Even Zhang Shua did not have the heart to continue to pay attention to Zhang Xiaobao. After a series of arguments, a balance was finally reached when the court was about to leave. The secretary of the palace took the lead. The Ministry of Revenue would do the work. The Ministry of Military Affairs would send people to guard the banknotes. The Ministry of Justice would set the punishment. The Ministry of Rights would think of a design that would conform to etiquette in the future. The Ministry of Works would provide the equipment, and the Ministry of Appointments would arrange the official positions. When everyone returned to their own departments after the court, they found that no one had taken advantage of the situation. They were all in charge of each other, and it was impossible to print any private money. Very soon, the imperial court's notice was sent to the local government offices and people were posted. The court set a time limit of 4 months. It would only take 4 months for the banknotes to be collected. After 4 months it would not be collected. The court urged people to dispose of the banknotes in their hands as quickly as possible. Chapter 796. To the commoners, it was not important whether the silk was used for exchange. Normally, they would not have the opportunity to use silk as a currency. The people who were affected the most were the merchants. Seeing that the silk was about to fall from the status of a currency to that of an ordinary commodity, a portion of the merchants who did not make much profit realized that it was better to lend it to the imperial court. After 5 years they would get 60% of the profit. The merchants who had faster currency circulation were not willing to take the 60% profit. In 5 years they could earn 3,000 strings of coins from 1,000 strings of coins. That was double the money, so they reluctantly sold it to the bank. Wu Yu's reaction was not slow, but when his order was passed down, all the cash had been exchanged for silk. The average price was 180 strings of coins for a bolt of silk, 90% of the profit. The sky outside was very clear, and it was not an exaggeration to say that there was not a cloud in sight. Wu Yu and Wu Feng's mood was as if it was a rainy day. "Brother, what do we do?" It was the first time Wu Yu felt so helpless. While he and the others were busy with Xiao Zhao's calculations, Zhang Xiaobao's decision made the situation become unstoppable. He finally understood that Zhang Xiaobao had never treated him and the others as opponents from the beginning. Compared to Wu Yu, Wu Feng had a better understanding of Zhang Xiaobao's prowess. When he laid out the plan, it could be said that he was at ease, but when he wanted to compete with him, he realized that he was not on the same level. Facing Wu Yu's questioning gaze, he said, "Tell the Empress to stop. Don't expect to beat Zhang Xiaobao financially. That is a celestial existence, not something we can compete with." "Brother, I don't understand. Why would the emperor listen to Zhang Xiaobao? The imperial court took in so much silk. Is he not afraid of something happening? That silk can be spoiled." Wu Yu was not convinced. He thought that the emperor was biased towards Zhang Xiaobao, and was willing to let the national treasury suffer losses for Zhang Xiaobao. Wu Feng glared at him. "What nonsense are you talking about? Why would the emperor help Zhang Xiaobao? It's not like you don't know how the Zhang family and Wang family do things. Haven't you seen all the information? Their two families had always planned things out first, and would only make a move when the time was right. Not to mention there are countless officials in the imperial court. Who dares to say that they can clearly see what the Zhang family and Wang family want to do when they start operating? How did Sanshui County become Shang County from Zhong County? First of all, everything was independent. Some were for earning money and some were for fame. And the result? You and I are not capable enough. Don't try to figure out other people's thoughts. If you really want to get in touch with them, you can defeat Song Jinggong. Maybe you can get a glimpse of the list of the top billionaires. Wu Yu lowered her head and finally sighed helplessly. Brother, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. You can tell the Empress that I don't want to be number one anymore. That's not a game. That's a real business battle. Even politics is involved. I'm going to sleep. Asterisk, 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 that's enough. Send something to the Songamo Commander-in-Chief's office one more time and you can stop. For the last time, you should send various kinds of tools and steel that didn't pass the smelting process. Let people make various kinds of household appliances and send them over. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the information sent back from the Songamo Commander-in-Chief's office and ordered the people waiting at the door. After the people received the order and left, Wang Wan came over with dark circles under her eyes. Xiaobao, I've sent people out. As for whether they can reach North America in the end, I'm not sure. In fact, it's best to send people from Team Zero. There are no roads in North America now. The jungles, there are all kinds of wild animals. The people sent may not be able to meet the requirements. 1,000 people. I'll be satisfied if I can get the remaining 100 people. Do you think the people in the Song Mo Commander-in-Chief's office will really have the intention to oppose? You go and rest in a while. I'll take Xiaobei and the others to the beach to play. Don't worry about those 1,000 people. The jungles in North America are dangerous, but people learn. If some people die, they'll naturally understand more things. Zhang Xiaobao found his swimming trunks and looked at the world map that was not very neat on the table. His eyes were full of determination as he looked at Wang Wan's dark circles and said. Seeing that Wang Wan was still worried, he said, "To be honest, I'm not willing to enter the primitive jungles. I'm not sure if I can easily survive in such a place. Miasma, poisonous grass, insects, snakes, and wild animals. Whether it's the Delta, the Beret, or the Alpha, who can guarantee that they can return safely? I don't think the three you mentioned are the most powerful." "There are more powerful people than them," Wang Wan retorted. "I know you want to say that the special forces in China are all the same. The powerful people are not limited by the region or country. But in that kind of place, your Ba Wang flower is useless. The 1,000 people are just going to explore the road. We don't expect them to fight from North America to South America. Didn't you give them a lot of good things when they left? As long as they can contact the local natives, I believe their survival rate will be very high. You go to sleep, I'm leaving." Zhang Xiaobao was not willing to argue with Wang Wan about this kind of uncertain thing. He carried Wang Wan to the bed, picked up his things and left. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao's figure at the door, Wang Wan closed her eyes and muttered discontentedly, "It's fine as long as the Ba Wang flower can control you." Humph. Today was the day Zhang Xiaobao took his younger brothers and sisters to hold a beach picnic. It was once every half a month. As the weather was getting warmer, they could play in the sea. There were many good beaches in Jili State. Zhang Xiaobao did not plan to take his younger brothers and sisters to play in the Broken Star Ocean Park where he was at that time. The broken place there could be cut by stones if they were not careful. Perhaps it was because of the impression at that time, but Zhang Xiaobao's attitude towards that park was not good at all. There were no small fish, few crabs, and no seabirds in the sky. When one entered the water, one would feel the sharpness of the stones. Groups of people crowded there like a bathtub, and they were not allowed to barbecue. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao had only been there once to check out the specific terrain. In order to cheat, he endured it. This time was different. The whole Geely state was under his control. Of course he had to choose the best place. Xiaobei and the others were already prepared. Everyone carried a big bag and looked excited. They cherished the opportunity that was once every half a month. They complained that it was not enough. They never thought that once every half a month, they would go for 4 or 5 days. In other words, 1/3 of the month was spent on this. They went to the beach once half a month ago. The water was still cold. In the end, Xiaobei and the others did not swim for a long time. They were very regretful. Now that it was warm, they decided to have fun. Thus, Xiaobei and the others found over 100 boys between the ages of 8 and 10 in the vicinity of the state capital. They wanted them to join their family and become their guards. 100 children were still unable to understand the true meaning of being a guard. They stood in a straight line with curiosity, waiting to set off. Yes, a straight curve, at least in Xiaohai's eyes. He divided the curve into sections of straight lines. According to his understanding of advanced mathematics, which he had not learned yet, this was the limit. At this time, the road in Geely State was much better than when Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just arrived. There was no need to deliberately fix it. Where there were people, there would naturally be communication. The people would find ways to fix the road themselves. The group of children walked forward on foot. Their calves were tense. Zhang Xiaobao also trotted beside them. The biggest advantage of children was that their physical strength recovered very quickly. Although the adults' perseverance was stronger than the children's, their bodies were not as strong as the children's. At the end of the day, when the children were tired, they only needed to eat a meal and rest for a while. The adults would feel their waist ache, back pain, and legs numb. When the stars and the moon accompanied them, Xiaobei and the others finally arrived at the beach. After the soldiers guarding the beach helped set up the tents and lit the fire, they gathered together excitedly. They put on thick gloves and roasted the prawns caught by the soldiers on the iron net. "Zhang Liang, roast a prawn for me." Xiaobei came to a boy and ordered. "Why? My name is Li Liang, not Zhang Liang." The boy who was ordered did not give Xiaobei any face. "You are my guard." Of course, the Zhang family's guard has to have the surname Zhang. Guards should do such things. Xiaobei explained to Li Liang seriously. "Then I won't be your guard." Li Liang immediately changed his mind. Xiaobei pouted. "I knew you were unreliable. Xiao Yuan, roast a prawn for me." "Why?" Xiao Yuan, who was not far away, was puzzled. "'Cause I want to eat it." Xiaobei's reason was very good. "Deske. If you are too far away, you will not be a grandson." Xiao Yuan replied. Xiaobei's eyes immediately glared. "Who are you calling a villain? I didn't say you were a villain. I said you were a woman." "Brother, prepare a rope for me. I want to make a tripping rope." Xiaobei shouted to Zhang Xiaobao, who was sitting at the side. "Xiaobei, I look down on you. Other than using this to scare me, what other abilities do you have? Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Xiao Yuan deftly picked up a freshly roasted prawn with a pair of tweezers and approached Xiaobei. "You didn't put salt, right? I only like to eat the original flavor." "No, it's the original flavor." "Brother, don't use a rope. This is called subduing the enemy without fighting." Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The sun jumped out of the sea. When the water was a little cold, Xiaobei had already jumped into the water. A little further away, there were soldiers stationed here to protect him. Xiaobei took a deep breath and lowered his head. He used both hands and feet to dive into the water. After a while, he emerged holding 2 shells in each hand. Looking at the people on the shore who didn't dare to go into the water, he muttered angrily, "Guards are really unreliable. Even touching shells makes them so scared. I'll do it myself. When I find better guards, I'll eliminate all of them." The local children that Xiaobei and the others found still didn't understand what guards meant, but the children in other places had already memorized the concept of guards in their hearts. Of the 100 or so children who came to the seaside, most of them didn't know how to swim. Only a dozen or so had gone into the water before, and they weren't very good swimmers. Xiaobei and the others, who couldn't count on others, could only jump into the water to fish for shells themselves. A wooden box with a pendant was placed on the bottom. When it was placed on the surface of the sea, it rose and fell with the waves. Xiaobei and the others surrounded their respective boxes and kept diving and floating, making the group of children on the shore surprised and impressed. Zhang Xiaobao looked at his younger siblings and prepared to rescue them at any time. When the temperature of the water rose little by little, the 100 or so children on the shore also jumped into the shallow water. A large boat appeared on the surface of the sea, gradually growing bigger from a black dot. Chapter 797. When Xiaobei and the others had gathered enough shells and were about to go ashore to roast them, the boat carrying the children became clear in everyone's eyes. Where did the boat come from? Xiaobei shook the water off her hands and looked at the boat in confusion. If it wasn't for the flag of her family, she would have thought that someone was trying to sneak an attack on them while they were here to play. Zhang Xiaobao, who had also come ashore, smiled and didn't say anything. It wasn't until the boat got closer and could no longer move forward that Xiaobei and the others saw the other party's approximate age and the clothes they were wearing on the boat that Xiaobei and the others saw clearly. "Brother, where did the guard come from? He's so small." Xiaobei opened her mouth in surprise and pulled Zhang Xiaobao's hand. "He's not small anymore. The younger ones are already high-ranking officials. How can a 10-year-old guard be small?" Zhang Xiaobao rubbed Xiaobei's head and said with a wink, "Oh, so that's the case. Brother, the guard you asked for is too small." Xiaobei reluctantly admitted this fact. Zhang Xiaobao shut his mouth again. Xiaoyuan, who was at the side, shook her head twice and suddenly revealed an expression as if she knew everything. She said to Xiaobei, "Aha! As for this guard, I know." "You know? Quick, tell me about it." Xiaobei poked Xiaoyuan. My hand touched something hard in the water just now. I can't rely on the shells later. Who can help me roast them?" Xiaoyuan had a pained expression and waved her hand in front of her eyes. Xiaobei pouted and muttered, "My brother will roast them for you. Tell me quickly." "I like to eat Xiaobei's roasted shells. I don't eat other people's roasted shells. What should I do?" Xiaoyuan turned to look at Xiaobei and asked, "You tell me first. After you're done, I'll see if I can roast them for you." Xiaobei acted like an adult and began to negotiate with Xiaoyuan. "Forgot. If no one agrees, my brain won't work." Xiaoyuan shook her head. "I'll roast them for you. Roast shells, right? Okay, tell me." Xiaobei pretended to be angry and turned her head to the other side. Satisfied, Xiaoyuan pointed at the boat coming over and said, "Do you still need to ask? The person coming over is our guard. You can't find someone else." "Yes, no. Really? Brother, is it true? Is it true?" Xiaobei excitedly grabbed Zhang Xiaobao's hand and shook it back and forth. Only then did Zhang Xiaobao reply, "Now we have bodyguards. Don't bully them." "I won't bully you, I won't bully you. I have guards now, where did they come from? It's so neat." Xiaobei's eyes narrowed into crescents. As the boat got closer and closer to shore, the children on the boat could clearly see the people standing on the shore. They were just as excited as Xiaobei. They were all from the Zhang family, Wang family, and Zhuangzi family. Usually they were not as smart as the others. Since they were 7 years old, they had been taught and trained to help the main family ensure their safety. Now they had been training for 3 years. Their physiques were much stronger than other children of the same age. After Zhang Xiaobao knew that Xiaobei and the others had found guards to make things difficult for them, he sent someone to deliver a letter back. He did not expect them to be able to fight immediately. He only wanted them to be on good terms with Xiaobei and the others and be familiar with each other. Although this group of children had already given up on the idea of relying on literary examinations, they were all literate and knew how to count. The reason why they were not allowed to continue studying in the academy was firstly because they were not willing to study. Secondly, even if they studied, they had no hope of passing the imperial examinations. On the contrary, a group of people focused on studying. They usually only did broadcast gymnastics and received different training. Accompanied by the sound of splashing water, Xiao Bei and the others jumped into the sea again and swam towards the approaching boat. This time they forgot about the children on the shore. Compared to the children on the shore were obviously better. Whether it was their neat clothes or their upright posture on the boat, they were not comparable to the children on the shore. Of course, Xiao Bei and the others could not understand the real benefits of the people from Zhuangzi and Zhang Xiaobao families, which were not only in terms of clothes and posture. There was no need to worry about loyalty. If they grew up with Xiao Bei and the others, their fighting strength would be incomparable to that of ordinary people. They were different from the children in Jili province. They had their own beliefs. When they were young, they were taught by adults. They had to be loyal to the main family and listen to the main family. Such indoctrination had lasted until now. They were on the same side, so they could rest assured. After 3 years of targeted training, they stood there one by one with a firm look in their eyes. No matter who saw them, they would praise them. Plop, plop, plop. Xiao Bei swam to the side of the boat at the very front. He stretched out his hand and let someone pull him up. Panting, he came in front of a row of children and looked up into their eyes. He poked a person with his hand and asked, "Where did you come from? Are you good at fighting?" When the children came, they had already been told that they were going to be the guards of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Xiaobao. They had already seen Xiao Bei's appearance from pictures. The child who was poked by Xiao Bei puffed out his chest and lowered his head. In reply to Miss Xiao Bei, "I am from Zhongjia Zhuangzi. We grew up together. Can fight 3 of them alone." As he spoke, he was afraid that Xiao Bei would not believe him, so he clenched his fist and measured it. He rolled up his sleeves and put his muscular arm in front of Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei reached out and pinched the child's arm, but it did not budge. He was shocked and nodded vigorously. "That's great. When we get to the shore, help me teach those people who don't listen to me a lesson. Let them be guards, but they don't help me fish for shells." Humph. Yes. This child had the spirit of guard training. He agreed without thinking, even if he knew that it was not good to do so. Xiao Bei laughed happily. My guards are so good. Can you fish for shells?" "Xiao Bei, guards are not odd job workers. You can't do this. You have to love and respect them." Xiao Hai, who was usually unwilling to speak and wholeheartedly focused on studying mathematics, finally spoke. He really did have the appearance of an older brother, even if he was only born a short time earlier than Xiao Bei. "Just a test. If one day I fall into the water, I don't expect them to save me. I order them to fish for shells." Xiao Bei wanted to see if the guards were good or not. The children on the boat did not say anything. They took off their clothes, wearing only shorts, and jumped off the boat. Of course, they were not so stupid as to immediately dive to the bottom. At this time, the water was more than 20 meters deep. Even if they succeeded, they would not be able to see any shells. They used freestyle to swim towards the shore. When the water became shallow, they dove in one after another. Looking at their practiced movements, one could tell that their swimming skills were not bad. After a while, the children's heads and hands appeared from the water. Every one of them was holding a shell. Xiao Bei's eyes lit up when he saw this. Jiannan Road, Pengzhou Pass. The sky was clear and sunny. The deputy commander in charge of the beacon tower, Feng Chongyun, was still the same as before. His eyes were bored as he looked at the beacon tower in front of him. The wisp of smoke had already become a scene that he could not forget. As long as he waited for 2 hours, he would not need to continue looking at the beacon tower. He could casually find someone to look at and rest. Loneliness, sometimes having nothing to do, is also a kind of loneliness. If it were up to me, there is no need to set up a beacon tower in the east of Jinchuan. Who would dare to touch Cuckoo's territory? One day it will slowly end like this. Feng Chongyun placed the binoculars in his hand and muttered to himself. He closed his eyes and prepared to take a short nap. This nap lasted for 2 hours. In his dream, a fairy came over and said that she would treat him to a drink. She even continuously leaned on his body. The corner of his mouth unknowingly curled up. Just as he was about to move on to the next step, the fairy suddenly stretched out her hand and slapped him. "Oh, you hit me. Who hit me?" Fong Chongyun, who was awakened by the pain, covered his face and asked. "Commander Fong, it's not good. The beacon tower over there has already been 2 hours, and it's still burning. Furthermore, there are 2 wisps of smoke rising at the same time. It's not the same as before." The person who retracted his hand nervously pointed at the distant beacon tower and shouted at Fong Chongyun. "What? 2 wisps of smoke rising at the same time? It's been 2 hours. Not good. Quick, light the beacon and send people out to check." Fong Chongyun could no longer care about the pain on his face. He opened his eyes wide and shouted at the beacon tower. "You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.